Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the last segment of today's program, a fireside chat on financing pathways for an interconnected and renewable tomorrow. It is my pleasure to invite on stage right now Dr. Megumi Muto from Mizuho and also Mr. Francisco Catalão from AICEP Portugal Global. Let's help them welcome on stage. And to moderate this session, please help me welcome Mr. Jaeho Chung from Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Mr. Chung, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Fireside Chat on Financing Pathway for Interconnected and Renewable Tomorrow. Southeast Asia needs $200 billion every year for renewable energy investments till 2030 to meet this energy transition goal. During this Fireside Chat, we want to tackle this goal with our distinguished panelists. Welcome, Dr. Megumi Muto from Mizuho Financial Group, and welcome, Mr. Francisco Catalão from Portugal Trade and Investment Agency, AICEP. It's really a pleasure to have you both.
Thank you.
Maybe we can start from the clarity of regulatory aspect. Dr. Muto, in the context of renewable energy financing, how are the decision-making metrics evolving? And what lessons from development finance are now used to underwrite risk in commercial banks for long-term bankability?
Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here in front of this very esteemed audience. So I will start with this question number one. By the way, I'm now in Mizuho Financial Group, which is one of the largest financial groups in Japan. But until March, I was in development finance, concessional finance, sovereign, as well as private, in an institution called JICA. So it's the development finance arm of the Japanese government. I moved from the public sector finance to private sector finance, and I think I'm well positioned to translate in between the two worlds. I think from the commercial finance point of view, the principle is the policy framework is really a determinant of business. And then business is the determinant of how finance can function. It is not that finance can solve all the problems. I think we have the same
correct.
understanding. Yeah, going into very basics, in this conversation, people usually talk about technical feasibility, commercial feasibility, and then bankability. And usually, the public sector people talk mainly about technical feasibility. Isn't that the case?
Correct.
And then the business people think about, of course, commercial feasibility. But then the private financiers, what matters is the bankability. And how can we connect in between these three? Usually people talk about their own concept of feasibility, and the discussion don't cross nicely, right? Maybe this is my own term, but from the point of view of this, from my experience in development finance, I bring the notion of, sorry, I'm not blaming anyone, but political feasibility. Political in a very broad sense, including institutional setups. It is about cooperation among nations, cooperation among the national level and the local government level, And it's also about the finality in decision making. Any decision making is not contested. These are the kind of points that I have in mind when I talk about this broad sense of political or institutional feasibility. My colleagues in commercial finance say stable policy, legal policy, framework is needed to support business, or they say licensing requirements, or like the stakeholder engagement required is very complicated. But at the end of the day, what my commercial finance colleagues are saying is they cannot take the risks and the related costs and the time. Time is money, right? So it really, the discussion goes back to the public sector. How can the political players, institutional players, can play their own designated roles in making things happen? In that sense, I think that there's this renewed expectation for maybe G2G cooperation, the role of multilateral development banks like AIIB, and maybe what the platform of Japan, AICEP, is one of these efforts to connect people involved in this political institutional feasibility that no commercial bank or no business sector can touch upon. One little thing that I can bring from my development experience for this conversation is when we do development cooperation, we usually set up steering committee consisting of the national level, ministerial level, local government level, the technicians, as well as the implementers who have been there in the last plenary. So maybe setting out a steering committee that has convening power is one practical solution. These are the things that I'm bringing into the commercial banking sector so that we can sharpen our eyes to think about the different layers of feasibility. Thank you.
I see. I think it's all add up to the sustainability of overall investments. So looking at the technical and also the commercial aspect. Maybe I'll jump into Mr. Catalão's on what are the critical non-financial kind of factors. It could be policy or it could be grid infrastructures that international investors are focusing or reviewing, particularly before they're committing the capital. As you are working as a trade and investment agency, yeah. I'm sure you have much more experience to share with us.
Well, thank you for the question. Also, thank you for the invitation to be here today with all of you. First of all, I think it's important to understand, I came from Portugal. Portugal is a small country in the western part of Europe. We are the most western country in Europe. We are very alike to Singapore. We are a small country. We don't have any natural resorts. So we had to make this choice many years ago, and we turned into renewables. Okay, so renewable energy in Portugal is something that started like 20 years ago, at least. Today, we are very proud to be one of the greenest countries in the world. Roughly speaking, 80% of our produced energy comes from renewable energy sources in a mix of hydro, wind, and solar by this order. Hydro is still the most important, then comes wind farms and then solar plants, but very well balanced between these three main energy sources. And actually, in January this year, for one entire month, all the energy consumed in Portugal comes from renewable energy, which I believe is something exceptional for a country with a dimension of Portugal. And how did we were able to do this? So, of course, we needed to have key factors that I believe that were that help us to achieve these numbers. And through this experience, I believe it's my recommendation to other countries how they can be attractive also to attract investors, to attract banks in order to invest in those countries and in those projects in order to reduce risk, reduce cost of capital, increase the bankability of the project. So, and what Portugal has been done in the last years, and we're still not done. We have a plan we have a 2030 plan where we want to achieve 90% of installed capacity on renewable energy. So we are moving ahead further away from where we are today. So how we done this? We done this through stability. We have a very stable country where the investors know they can come and make reliable investments. So we also have a strong institutional framework with a very good rule of law, which I believe is important for everybody. Banks understand this better than no one else. And of course, today, although we 15 years ago, we have struggled a little bit with the financial crisis. It affected Portugal alongside with other Southern European countries, but we have recovered a lot from where we were in that moment. So today we have very strong key economical data, macroeconomic data. We have a growth GDP, we have a low employment, we have a controlled inflation. So everything that is needed for doing good investments. Then we also invested in a very good and reliable pool of talent. We have many good engineering. We have the best top engineering in Europe. And never forget this, we come from a country that has only 10 million inhabitants. When you compare with other large economic countries in the world, we are very small, just like Singapore. I'm always trying to do this parallel for many of people in the audience to understand what I'm saying. And for a small country like Portugal, we have 4 of the best engineering universities in Europe and 4 of the best business schools in Europe. So I believe this is good, and this talent that is available for investors to use in this kind of projects. And of course, we also rely on a very booming innovation ecosystem where it's very important. Portugal has around 5,000 startups. Many of them focus on renewable energy, especially in matters related with blue economy, with the oceans, which is also that we are developing very, very strongly as you currently speak. We have a project of having 10 gigawatts of onshore wind farms until 2030. It's something that we are developing as we speak. And of course, together of this, we also we have put in place some attractive incentives and funding tools, both from national funds or EU funds, to support many of these energetic transition into a more renewable country and a more ecological and sustainable world. So to any country, to any investor that wants to move to have good projects, profitable projects, I think they have to find locations such as Portugal.
Yeah, I think you touched base very key kind of elements of the stability of these regulations. I think that really gives the foundations to have those bankable projects and attract the investment. So
correct.
Thank you for your comments. Dr. Muto, I'll jump into some innovations, and coming from your background in multilateral, kind of experience and also development finance, could you share an example of the innovative or blended finance structure that has been effective in de-risking and attract the private sector, and which can be a model for Southeast Asia?
Thank you very much. I think for that question, the audience has more of the answers. But let me start with a typical case that my colleagues say. This is a well-working type of a blended finance. It's basic, but the development phase for any infrastructure project has high risk, and it's a bottleneck. For example, my colleagues have been working on a subsea transmission line has a high risk at the development stage, but at the operation stage is lower in terms of the risk. What are the risk components in the development stage? So it's subsea transmission, so the technical feasibility, especially the geotechnical survey, the engineering design and the routing, a lot of the institutional and the political maybe negotiations about that is really a high risk. So the theory would go, they can be a risk sharing between the public and the private finance in terms of time sequencing, the development stage. Maybe the public oriented, more patient capital can come in. And then at the revenue generating operation stage, the private capital come in. So this is a very textbook case. But then coming from the development finance, I see that people are jumping to these financial schemes and trying to, yes, it's very good that they are even like funds with that types of transactions. But then when we look at the realities at the field, we really need a partnership, which is not just a nice partnership that meets once in a while, but troubleshooting teamwork.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So once again, the national government, local government, project owners, and then the financiers should come together, and there should be kind of like a generalist troubleshooter at the very center that can solve the emerging issues every day. And I think multilaterals, bilaterals, governments know the importance of that. And in the context of the Asian Power Grid, I think the AIIB, World Bank, and the Asian Center for Energy, they are coming together, not just touching upon the financial issues, but on the implementing issues as well. So I have a high hope for that emerging leadership. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this collaborative effort, multiple kind of stakeholders, including governments or developers or financial institutions. So I think that's a very important factors to attract the investment. I know the time is running out, so I just last quick questions to Mr. Catalão. What is the biggest lesson from Europe in financing cross-border infrastructures, which also can be, used or applied across Southeast Asia?
Yes. Well, I believe that the biggest lesson that we can use is that first of all, as I said in my previous intervention, we need to build a cluster. Okay, we need to have an integrated vision regarding renewable energy. So renewable energy cannot be just one wind farm. You have to create a total, holistic and complete ecosystem where you can put all the stakeholders working together, from banks, for governments, for developers, for municipalities, for people who will take advantage of that kind of energy, but also the ones who will take the spillovers of having the projects at their door. Okay, so all of these interests must be integrated and solved in order to have a more complete vision of what the renewable energy is as a sector. Okay, so that I believe this is very important. I've done the different paths that from my colleague. I came from the private sector, and now I work in government. Many years ago, I worked in renewable energy on an equity developer, and we know from my past experience that any renewable project is financeable. Okay, and this is very important, just as you mentioned before. When key risks are removed or at least priced. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so you have to start it from there. Of course, everybody needs predictable cash flows. This is the basis for banks. Banks only look to a project if they have predictable cash flows, and of course this is very important for banks to lend more money, or at least cheaper money, okay? Which is of everybody's interest, of course. Everybody wants, with the same megawatts, generate higher net values, and this is very, 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 very important. So I believe that an industrial cluster needs to be built. Portugal has done it. We started many years ago. There was a time where a developer acquires some license to build megawatts, they need to present an industrial project associated with those licensing, and it was not just the best price for megawatt, it was the best price per megawatt plus the best industrial project associated with that. And when I say industrial project, of course, related with renewable energy, tower farms, blade factories, nacelles, whatever. So the all integrated ecosystem. And the truth is that Portugal today has an industrial cluster focused on renewable energies. It's one of our most important clusters, where we have on one side all the manufacturing, and on the other side the design and engineering of all the topics related with renewable energy. And of course, we have to, each country or the group of countries, if we're talking regarding Asian, we have to have a clear policy regarding renewable energy, because removing uncertainty, just as I said in the beginning, is very important, and is what creates trust between all the stakeholders. And I believe this is a very good way to end it.
Thank you for your sharing your insight. I think the cluster and joint effort, I think this is all our key message to collaborate, especially on the interconnected renewable energy transitions. Yeah. So thank you. Please join me giving a big thank you to our panelists, Dr. Megumi Muto and Mr. Francisco Catalão. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining.
Thank you very much to our distinguished panelists right here. Can I have you all stand in the middle for a quick photo together, group photo together? Great, thank you very much. Got to capture the moment right here. All right, and to all of our excellencies that are still in the house, ladies and gentlemen, we have unfortunately come to the very end of the Singapore IRENA High-Level Forum. Thank you to all of our speakers and panelists for your very insightful perspectives. We hope you have found today's discussion engaging and also very enriching. Before we go, we would appreciate if you could share your feedback through the ACES app. Simply open the app and tap on the survey icon. May we now invite everyone to join for a tea break located at the ACES exhibition area opposite this ballroom. We also look forward to seeing you all, at the SIEW Connects, SIEW Connects reception this evening. It will be held at Wakuda at Marina Bay Sands Tower 2 from 6 p.m. onwards. Please remember to bring along your badge for identification and access. On behalf of the Energy Market Authority, the International Renewable Energy Agency, and the Sustainable Energy Association of Singapore, thank you once again for joining us here today, this morning, and this afternoon. Have a great evening ahead, and thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.